Good evening. Welcome to the locker room. Thanks again for filling in last week.
I just got one thing to ask you, Ron Berry.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat, buddy.
You're not
Jeremy
even gonna
Pruitt.
you're not even going to say good evening.
No,
You're welcome to
Jeremy
be
Pruitt. I'm glad you're here. All right, glad you're here. And E.T. once again filled in for you. Jeremy Pruitt, to the Vol fans, where were you, Ron Berry? And here's two people sitting in all these empty seats. And Jeremy Pruitt wants to know, where were you? Question mark. Where were you?
Don't think it's any of his business.
Where were you?
Don't think it was any of his business.
So, in this article, he says those people that didn't show up, we need to find out what they're seating and cancel their tickets.
No, he didn't say that.
I'm just thinking.
But I'll tell you
that
what.
Where was Ron Berry?
But I'll tell you
Where
what we
was
will.
Ron
I'll
Berry?
tell you what we do need to talk about.
What's that, buddy?
Also in that article right there, his grammar was horrible. Now we talked about. No, wait just a minute. No, wait just time out just a minute. Now we talked
It's
about.
all about X's and O's.
We
man.
talked about 3 weeks ago
We did.
about his grammar.
We did.
And today's paper, what does it say?
I'm not ready.
Oh, you just pick
I'm not
you just
reading
pick
it.
and
I'm not
choose.
reading today's paper.
Okay.
I said
Today's
the top,
paper
what's it
is
say? Pruitt what? I see Pruitt there.
Coaching ain't got nothing to do with grammar.
Coaches ain't got nothing to do with grammar.
Okay.
You know what you need to do? Leave the school part up to the school board
Here-
people, and you stay on the county.
This is not
commission
anything to do
How
with
about
school
that?
board
How
member.
about you leave the school people, let the school people get the educators
We've-
together, and you get county commissioners
We've
together.
talked about 2 things on here
And it
that
don't
have
mean
both
anything.
come back to be
Do
very
you
true.
care whether
The
he
first
can-
time we talked about was the newspaper and how bad the newspaper is. And I bet I had a dozen people stop me and talk about how bad the newspaper was, and they agreed that, hey, it's nothing anymore. And then the second thing we talked about was, I said, as he goes to these Rotary clubs and he goes out
did.
and represents
And
the
I hate to
University
do
of Tennessee, there are going to be some people on him.
Well,
Bingo.
you did, but he wants to know where you was at
Well-
while you was not in the stand.
I was at my English class trying to make sure
You
that I
went to
don't
no
talk
English
like he
class?
does.
You went to no English
Trying
class?
to make sure my grammar's a little
Get
better.
out of there. You went to no English class. You was not in an English class.
And the words and the grammar that he used was really horrible.
Let me tell you what
ain't got nothing to do.
Let me tell you
with,
what,
with,
I ain't
with
got
the
nothing
level
to
of
do
the
with
grammar with
I
him.
could care less if he could spell dog.
And
If he wins,
And that's the only problem. See, it's all about
and
winning.
if he wins the East,
It's all about winning.
listen to me.
That ain't gonna happen.
If he wins the East, and he plays in the championship game and won one occasion and got in that playoff thing, I'm good with him.
Well, and his grammar will be a whole lot better by the time that happens.
Now-
That's going to give him about 5 years.
Now,
About five.
so we fire the chancellor today, and I'm thinking Philip Fulmer might be next. Even though we just gave him a contract.
Philip Fulmer's in good shape.
Not fire him.
Now, why would they fire him?
I don't know. I ain't talked to him today. I'm meeting with him for breakfast Friday morning, so I'll ask him.
Well, I can call you because I've got him tomorrow.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do.
But
Tell him
one
I
thing-
said hi.
But one thing,
And when you do, give him that card for me if you don't care.
Card
okay?
right there?
Yeah, give him that card right there if you don't care. Just keep it. Give him that card. He'll know exactly who I am. Give him that card.
it's blank on the back.
It's blank on the back. Well, there's a secret to it. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Blank on the back. You give that to him and tell him I was asking about him.
But I just thought it was really ironical that we had 2 topics that we've talked about on this show, and both of them are right at the top of the list
People
in
think,
terms of what
and people
are going
thinks
on.
me and you're not on top of the game.
Well,
People like Drac.
You've
People
accused
like
me. You've
Drac.
accused me of both of these now.
Well,
but-
you have, but you wasn't there. Look,
I wasn't
hold on a
there.
minute. Hold on a minute.
I
Hold on a minute.
wasn't
Hold
there.
on a minute. Hold a minute. Hold a minute. I want to look. Yeah, I've got glasses on. That just don't look like you and your son, but or your wife.
No, we
either
wouldn't
one.
be sitting that far
Now
out.
I
We
don't
wouldn't be
know.
sitting
I
that
don't
far
know
out.
your son's wife. I don't think I've ever met her.
We wouldn't be sitting that far
But
out.
that don't look like Drac, or
No, Drac wasn't there either.
that don't look like Peabody.
Peabody wasn't there either.
That don't look like Brillo.
Brillo wasn't there
All
either. Now,
them guys-
Brillo was there. Brillo
Brill-
was there.
what don't look like Brillo?
Yeah, Brillo-
What's
Brillo
that,
was
the
there.
other school board member son's a
Brillo.
quarterback down there.
What's that got to
What's
do?
it?
Brackett?
Brackett. They don't look like Brackett.
Brackett.
That don't even look like Coach Webb or anybody right there with you. So you're not in this picture. So there's a lot of.
No, there's just 2 people there.
Pruitt to Vol fans, where were you? Question mark. Ron Berry.
And the response to Mr. Pruitt or Coach Pruitt
Now.
was get us something worth coming to see, and we will
See,
be there.
You're
We
not
will
even
be there.
you're not even going to give the man a
I
chance.
didn't say that. I
until
didn't
you're
say
going to
that.
attack him, and you're attacking him right here today.
I didn't attack him at all.
So that's what we've got to deal with. That's the fans
That ain't
we
so.
have to deal with.
That ain't so.
Ain't so my foot. That is so. So
That ain't
anyway, I'm glad you're back. E.T. once again has to give you all these accolades because you bought him some Starbucks coffee or some bull crap, something like that. But
Oh, he's got the number.
yeah, he's got the number all right.
We didn't come. We
Yeah,
didn't
we-
come here to win 6 games.
We didn't.
That's right.
We didn't come
I
here to
like.
win 6
I like
games.
that. I like his attitude.
He said, I wasn't recruited to come here.
But
I
if he
chose
wins-
to come here.
But if he wins 6 games this year, it ain't going to matter what he says or how he says it.
Yeah, but now let's be serious just a minute. I know we're going back and forth here. If he wins 6 games this year, I think he'll have the program headed in the right direction.
I think you're right.
But I also think there'll be people like you. And I'll put your buddy Drac in there with you. He's probably the same, just like
What are
you.
you on Drac about tonight?
It's on Drac.
Okay.
Just be on Drac.
Sorry,
day.
Drac.
Anyway, he'll be like you. Probably throw Peabody in there. And I don't doubt if Brillo's as big a UT fan as he is a Rockwood fan,
He is.
he's probably in there with you too.
He is.
Y'all be all over him. Because y'all be expecting great things. Y'all expecting
if he
great
wins
things.
6
You're
games?
expecting 8 or 9 wins this year, right?
No,
yeah,
no,
you are. Just tell the truth.
No, I'm telling
This
you
is
the
like,
truth.
tell the. I don't know. I'm trying to think of
you got
TV
to be.
program.
You got to be realistic.
Truth or dare, truth
got
or
to be
something.
realistic.
You got to. Yeah, realistically is maybe winning
6
5.
6 and 6 would be, and we've talked about it. West Virginia will be in the top 25, so that puts you 5 teams on your schedule that are in the top 25. That's pretty brutal.
It is.
If you win the West Virginia game, you could have a chance to win 7. You could have a chance to win 7, but the West Virginia game is a really big.
Well,
is a
if
really
he wins
big game.
7, he gets a raise, don't he?
Oh, I think so. I think so, and an extension. Because you will have, as Former said, we will have the right man.
Well, also, we thrown Former's name out a couple of times. He is still not giving Holly Warwick a contract extension.
Oh, it's just a matter that she's been out on, she's been out on the road.
I could care less where she's at too,
She'll be,
because
she'll be good.
it don't matter what. Listen, they ought to not give her no more than they can afford, because she's going to be 1 more year and she's going to be out of there. She'll either do the right thing or they'll do the right thing.
They'll spend more on the chancellor's severance package than they'll spend on Holly Warwick.
I don't know.
You know better. Oh, you know that. I mean, she
I
didn't even finish a year.
I ain't even got nothing to do with the chancellor.
She didn't finish a year.
Nothing to me, not a thing to me.
Yeah, she didn't finish a year.
There's a lot of things going on with that don't make.
Well, the next time Jim Haslam calls, she better answer the phone in a little better attitude about what's going on.
Said that she didn't want to pay attention and didn't want to.
She didn't know who and how to.
Well, I understand. If you listen to what the president said, the president's little thing, she had some problems with some board members communicating.
What did we just say?
Yeah, had some problems communicating with some board members, and they felt like every time they talked to her that she wasn't listening. Get you in trouble. Get you fired. Get you fired.
And her severance, they'll have a whole lot more vested in her than they will Holly Warwick.
Well, but I really think it's time for Holly to go.
I think you're probably right. I think that again, if she doesn't get it done next year, I don't think they have to do a thing. I don't think they have to say anything. I think she knows that she's up against 1 more year. If she can't get it turned around, I would be disappointed if they had to do anything.
And I know we always lead this thing off with high school sports, but since now we're on Tennessee sports, I was listening to the Animal coming down here tonight, and they was talking about the ball baseball team, how lackluster they performed, I guess, last night against Morehead State. Really no enthusiasm, no nothing, and the coach has said, well, I seen the same thing, and that's really my fault. And, I don't know if we got the right, I don't know, and I know he's not got all his players over. He's probably playing with some leftovers. I think it's going to take him a couple years. I think he really might wind up being a really good baseball coach.
He may be.
Because he's a really good recruiter.
He may be. They got lucky at Georgia. Won a wild game at Georgia.
Lost a wild one at Alabama, Florida.
And LSU.
And LSU, no, LSU's the one he lost. Could have won the series.
So but once again, if he can, all he has to do this year, if he can get them to Hoover in the conference tournament, then he will have done well. I think probably he needs another year to recruit a couple more pitchers. You know, he needs. I think that's probably the weak.
Well,
spot.
they talked about him last night. Apparently, he threw several pitchers trying to get them ready for this weekend. We're talking one inning,
Right.
1 inning here, or 2 innings, or 1, 2. There was some. They said they felt like he was trying to get, because he got a big series this weekend coming up with Kentucky. So maybe they got a chance at winning. Maybe.
Yeah. Now, one thing I didn't understand though was the series with Georgia on Sunday, and Georgia had come back to tie the score, and they have the bases loaded, and Tennessee's up a run, and he's talking about making a pitching change, and he said the whole staff was conferring and nobody wanted to make a decision. That's his decision to make, isn't it?
Maybe, and maybe he asked him, hey, who do you have, maybe talking to the pitching coach.
Okay.
But shouldn't the pitching coach be able to say, hey, let's put David in, not Ron in this
My
situation.
point
He's
is-
better
is-
suited
is
for
he
it.
said nobody wanted to make the decision. Now, maybe he was misquoted. I hope he was
So I
misquoted.
see how you're saying it. He's including himself, not he
He's-
didn't want to make the
He's
decision.
saying we couldn't make a
We
decision.
couldn't make the decision.
In other words, as a coaching
Well,
staff, we couldn't make the decision.
I
We left him in. We left him in, and fortunately, we got out of it. But put that same sentence if they had lost.
I understand.
We didn't make a decision, and we got beat.
But don't you think that scenario could have been, hey, what do you think? We need to take him out, and they kept. You said, well, let's wait. Let's give him another. Couldn't you think that would be the back and forth rhetoric that's going on?
Then I
Hey,
don't-
what do you think we need? What do you think? Listen.
Then I don't say we couldn't make a decision. I say
Well-
we gambled. We gambled.
Right,
as a
that
staff,
maybe
and
it'd be better
And it
words
worked.
than we couldn't make a decision. But I could really see that scenario of you being my pitching coach and I'm saying, Ron, we got Brad out there. What do you think? Is he
can
good?
see-
You think he's good? You've talked to him. You know, you should know more about him than anybody. And you
I
say,
can
well,
go
let's
that.
leave. Well, I could see the back and
I
forth.
can go that.
So,
There's a lot of difference in that though than we couldn't make a decision.
That's true. I agree with you. There is.
You're on the air.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Okay.
Do you think Phil Fulmer will be the AD and Chancellor too, and be over everything?
No.
No.
No, I think the chancellor's job is so much
Educational.
more encompassing than the sports part of it. In fact, the sports part of it is probably, once she hires an AD, I think she's probably out of the loop in terms of athletics. That's a huge job.
Okay. I appreciate you fellas. Have a good one now.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Well, it's more educational, I think it'd be a little bit out of Phillips' league, wouldn't it?
I think so. I mean, I think it'd be out of most any athletic. I mean,
Well, you have to be a college professor.
You're talking
you have
about
to be in that.
Well, you'd have to have them. First of all, they wouldn't bring the same experience. It would be like her trying to be an athletic director.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm saying I
I mean,
agree
it's
with you.
just,
Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
reversed. I think there's so much more experience-wise in. I mean, you got faculty, and you've got faculty that's other than the PE department.
Yes, or just that. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. And back to the baseball thing, I could see. I know the example I would use with you would be a head coach in football talking to an offensive coordinator. Let's go for it here on fourth down, and the offensive coordinator hawing around. Then I think the head baseball coach, if you use that scenario, should make the decision. Let's take him. I'm taking him out, or I'm leaving him in.
The only
And
thing that
I asked, and then I made the
It was
final
my
decision.
decision.
It was David's decision. I didn't care what. I
could
talked
live-
to Ron,
I could live
and
with
he's
that.
him hauled around, and I made the decision.
I could live with that.
And I didn't even go as far as saying I'm all right with Ron doing the him, not really
So you
wanting to
didn't-
pull him
but you
out.
didn't read that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that was I thought was.
When was
real-
that? When was that in the paper?
Well, it was probably last Monday.
God, I missed that. I didn't see that.
But what I thought was that was a strange statement for a head coach of any sport to make that we, you know, in a tight situation and we couldn't make a decision.
Wow, that's big. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
so-
I still like him. I still think I think he's done a fairly good. I ain't gonna say fairly. I think he's done a really good
I
job.
think he's.
I think he might have him in the right direction.
I think you're right, and I think again, if he and he's only about 2 games out, I think of being able to get into that. I think they take all but 2 teams, so he's about 2 games out. Probably has a series left with most of those folks, and you know, if he can win the right games or just win even one of the games against the top tier teams out of the series, he can
Well,
probably
he had
get there.
he had a chance at LSU to walk away with the win.
Probably get there.
And was up 8-4 or 7-3, and LSU come back and won the game. Had a chance and just couldn't do it.
I mean, I think
I thought he got it straightened out because I've heard you talk a lot about this, about Tennessee baseball in the last 4 or 5 years. You've really talked a lot about it that I know of. You've talked about winning the midweek games.
Midweek game.
You win the midweek games, then when you go to these series, sometimes the loss is not because you're winning the midweek games. People are on board because of midweek games. I thought he'd sort of turned that midweek thing around and was done fairly decent on the midweek games. You've not heard losing as many midweek games as the previous head coach did.
Well, and I think that was his demise was not winning the midweek games, and I think what that does,
But
you lose. Now he lost to Morehead State last night. Not a very good program at all.
no,
Okay?
no.
So now you've got to come back today, and instead of having a little pep in your step today, now you've got to spend a lot of today talking about what happened last night. Why wasn't the effort there? Why did this happen? How, you know, we didn't get into, you know, we didn't get into the pitch count that we needed to get into. We didn't get many 2-1 and 3-1 pitch counts. So now you've wasted a good day that you could have been building on that, of trying to figure out what we're going to do. Now tomorrow is, you know, is your walkthrough. You can't get much done tomorrow. So now you're going straight from that loss really into your first weekend game.
Yep.
That counts. So,
But
to me, that's the big thing.
But I liked he said, that's my fault. I'll take the blame for it.
And
It's my fault.
And that's what you want to hear.
That's what you really want to hear. He didn't blame it on the kids. He blamed himself for not having the kids prepared and up and being psyched about playing Morehead State.
And
They
you know,
wasn't.
when
They
you
were
play the
down.
number of games that they play a year, you're going to have a couple games, you know, like that. I mean,
Well,
the best you can
I
do.
guess you'd have to say, you'd rather the team be flat against Morehead State or
That's
flat
right.
against Kentucky.
That's right. That's right.
I'll take flat against Morehead State.
But
still yet.
except for the fact, and I don't know about flat, but I would like to see them especially, this is May, you're supposed to be playing really good baseball right now.
The caller that called in about it said it's like the players were saying that just like you got them being like snobby, like, hey, we're playing the SEC. We could care less about Morehead
Well,
State.
Well, that's
So that's how he felt about it. And apparently this is somebody that is a fairly loyal fan that goes to a lot of the games, don't miss a game. That wouldn't be you, but it's his fan.
same. It's the same kind of stuff as the basketball teams and the football teams. All of these schools now, all it takes is 1 or 2 transfers to come into these smaller programs, and you've seen the rest. You know, you've seen it on the basketball court, you've seen it on the football field. Not as much on football as the basketball and baseballs, because it's not as individualized, but all it takes is a good hitter, a good pitcher. I mean, look at what happened. You know, a kid from Tennessee Tech, you know, comes in and beats them single-handedly from Sevierville. Didn't get a look at UT. Comes back and beats them. You know, hits a couple home
Tennessee
runs. Had
Tech's-
about 6. Well,
Tennessee Tech's pretty good right
they'd
now,
won what,
too.
26 in a row.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
So, but my point is that take that youngster now, and he transferred to an SEC school, or to another school. He could help turn a program around. Take him and a good pitcher along.
Yeah, I agree.
See what you got.
I agree with you.
So whether it's Moorhead or whatever, you better come prepared to play your A game every night, or this is what's going to happen.
You better. I agree with you.
We get our A game and we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Live and Let Live Drugstore in downtown Rockwood is your gift destination. Shop the new plush selection for that special someone. We have Bath & Body Works popular fragrances and custom gift baskets too. Live and Let Live has a wide selection of gift and home decor for any occasion, from yard flags to selected jewelry, plus much more. We have Big Orange giftware always available year-round. And don't forget to enjoy a soda fountain treat while you shop. Live and Let Live Drugstore, Gift Shop, and Soda Fountain in downtown Rockwood.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
In today's world, you don't stay in business long without providing exceptional customer service. The Duff family has been providing exceptional customer service for over 44 years. Our customers rate us highly, as shown by the fact we're the only dealer in Tennessee to have earned the Subaru Love Promise Award for 7 years in a row. Check our online reviews or ask your friends. They'll tell you to come to Earl Duff Subaru, where buying is a pleasure.
Choose financing as low as 0% for 63 months on all new 2018 Outback models at Earl Duff Subaru in Harriman.
Mulch & More in Midtown is your landscaping headquarters. Mulch & More offers mulch, the best topsoil in the area. All types of gravel, sand, pea gravel, either loose or in bags, creek rock, river rock, field stone, mountain mist stone, railroad cross ties, straw bales, fence posts, farm gates, and much more. Mulch & More offers backhoe and dump truck service. And Mulch & More can also demolish a house or building on your property, and they'll haul it off for you. Give Gary a call today at 865-740-5229 for Mulch & More in Midtown.
Roan Metals Group has been serving East Tennessee for decades. Locally owned and operated with convenient hours of operation. Roan Metals buys all types of scrap metal. Nothing's too big or too small. Still have that clunker sitting around? We've been buying them for years. Roan Metals Group are specialists in industrial scrap. We have what it takes to get any size job done. Roan Metals urges you to recycle responsibly. Scrap with only licensed dealers. A member of the TSRA and the ISRI. Roan Metals Group. Turn that scrap into cash.
Reno Sporting Goods, your first choice for sports equipment. On the court, on the field, or in the stands, Reno's has the brand names you want. All the latest from Adidas, Under Armour, and more. From custom embroidery to screen printing, it's all about the game. For over 30 years, Reno Sporting Goods.
And welcome back to the locker room. And now that we've talked a little college football and baseball, we can talk about some high school.
I understand. Let's talk about one more thing, college.
Okay.
You think the NCAA is fixing to mess college basketball up with some changes we're talking about? About the one-and-doners and things like that? Do you
I think that probably helps. I think that probably helps.
Okay.
I think it levels the playing field more.
Okay.
Don't you?
I do a little bit. There's a couple things I'd like to see them do. I'd like to see them go back the three-point line up a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be okay.
I'd like to see them take a little off the clock, play a little less with less clock, make the game a little faster
Shot
pace.
clock?
Shot clock. Maybe take
What would you say, 25?
25. Yeah, 25. Make the pace a little faster. I think it's more interesting. I don't think moving the three-point line changes. I don't think it really does nothing to the game. I think the kids can shoot the threes. It really don't matter. Moving it back to the NBA, I don't think really. I don't. No. It would just make it more interesting. Making the lane I think the lane. If you do some changes to the lane, it's not as wide. It makes it a little narrow. You got some things there that could be done. I still don't understand the coaches and the quarters. Some people think the quarters makes the game more exciting. Coaches don't like the quarters because they say they lose timeouts. They're talking about, then the talk was, well, we'll stay the way it is, but we're only going to give you 2 timeouts a game. Plus you'll get the timeouts for TV timeouts. They don't like that neither. So Had you rather have, basically you got 4 with the quarters, it's 2 in the first and 2 in the second. Basically, you get
Well,
4, but
they're gonna,
you don't want to use them all.
They're going to have to do something. I mean, it takes 10 minutes to play the last 30 seconds.
And here's the next thing that I don't really understand. I think me and you talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This replay stuff, you ought to not have to look at it 52 times. I understand sometimes they're trying to set the clock right. They're trying to get everything right. I applaud them for doing that. But it shouldn't take as long as it takes to get, with as much technology as we got and as much as they say they're doing, it should not take as long as it takes to get the clock right, to get it back where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, let's just say in the last 2 minutes of a game, you got 5 reviews. They're going to go look at, that's 5 more timeouts. That's what people don't want.
And that's right. That's right.
I understand getting it right. I applaud them for trying to get it right. Who is it? Soccer's just done that. Soccer's going to start that maybe next year.
Yeah, they need to. And the shot clock. I'm not sure about the shot clock. You start speeding the game up, and then you've lost the art of defense, really.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's 25 seconds for women, or is it 30? It's 25, isn't it?
25, I think.
If women can do it, why can't the guys?
Well, because there's not a lot of defense. That's my point.
Oh, bull. I don't buy that. Get out of here.
You know, I think you should.
I know you want to talk high school sports, but you been watching any hockey?
Yes.
Hey, can you believe
What happened to the Predators last night?
they got beat?
I mean, how do you get a 3-0 lead in the first quarter and then lose it in?
They got beat.
Wow.
I don't know if goaltender, I don't know if whatever his name, Rene or whatever.
They may not come back from that.
They might not. Well, they're playing a team. Everybody said the best 2 teams this year is
That's right.
them and the Jets.
But that lapse last night may be more than they can overcome.
You might be right. It may be. But here's what I thought, and I meant to ask you this a couple of weeks ago, and we just briefly touched it, and we went on to something else. I can't believe that the National Hockey League doesn't admit or doesn't acknowledge that hockey causes concussions. They say they won't even talk to you about it.
I think
Because he said it doesn't affect your head.
Well, I think what they're
That's crazy.
Well, but I think what they're talking about, and if you watch in most hockey games, you don't see, because of the way they're trained to be able to take a hit. It's more shoulders. It's more.
It is, but it ain't got nothing to do with the hit. It's the whiplash of your head.
Well, but what I'm saying is,
it moves the. It's that's the part.
But you watch them and see them now. When you look and you see, you see a real bad collision there on the boards. A lot of times they're positioning their bodies in a way to take the blow, and it doesn't get to.
So let me see if I understand you. You apparently agree with the hockey. So all these hockey players that are coming up now that says they had all these concussions.
But they haven't done near the testing on the hockey players that they've done on football.
Well, why would they have to if they know it's there? They don't even acknowledge. They say concussions do not occur in the hockey. Why are all these former players?
Well, I think that's a ludicrous statement to say.
Well, that's what I said.
That it doesn't occur.
They say it does. They don't even want to talk. They won't even talk about it.
It may not occur as often as football, but a concussion can you can get a concussion in basketball.
They say
or baseball.
They say they have no problem with concussions in the National Hockey League.
Now that's different than saying there's no concussions. Not having a problem with it, I could buy. Saying there's none in hockey, I can't buy.
It's a violent sport.
It's a violent
sport. I don't
sport.
know that it's more violent than football to a certain extent.
Again, I think the difference is pretty much, you're gonna, if you watch, a player may end up during the course of a game, he may end up with 5 hits on the boards. He may get rammed in the boards maybe 5 times, and they know. I mean, they've got that sense. It's sort of like that quarterback making sure he releases the ball because he knows 1,001, 1,002.
They know it's coming.
I better get rid of it, and so they prepare for that. Look now, the Predators guy the other night didn't prepare for the hit. He tried, instead of preparing for the hit, he tried to give one back, and it cost him.
It cost him.
So it's
I like hockey.
Hockey is a different sport. The physicality is there. I think the athleticism is probably greater in hockey than a lot of other sports.
That's a fast moving
I mean,
sport, man.
and you start trying to skate backwards as fast as they do, and try to control a puck and skate backwards.
It's
pretty tough.
It's you can tell there's some talent there.
It's
things
pretty
doing.
tough.
I just wanted to ask you that question. I was listening to the hockey player talking about all the concussions he's had and all the others that are coming forward now saying all their concussions, and you hear the NHL say, well, we don't have that problem. Concussions don't really exist in the National Hockey League, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. All this does is jar in your brain. You really don't have to take a hit to the head. You can take a hit to the body, and if your head shakes a lot, I think that's what's happened to me sometimes.
I remember 25 years ago, they didn't wear helmets in hockey.
I remember that, too.
They didn't wear a mask in hockey.
They didn't. But I think that's what's happened to me. You keep me all bouncing around down here. I've had a concussion.
Well, but that's fun.
And you keep me all. That's why
fun.
I'm confused sometimes when I come in here.
No.
It breaks me back to bad place.
No. You're confused when you get here. That's the problem. You're confused when you get here.
Well, why does those guys down in Rockwood say you're confused when you get here, like Drac tells me?
Now you
got to carry. He said, "Be sure and carry my man Barry tonight."
Drac. I'll check with Drac.
You call him up, man.
We'll verify that.
I know you got his phone number.
I got it. We'll verify.
You've talked to him before coming in. What
we'll
about high
verify
school
that.
sports, man?
Well, high school baseball, softball, just all the spring sports heading to Murfreesboro here in about 2 weeks.
Looks like Clinton took down Kingston.
In baseball?
Baseball.
Yep.
Clinton beat Kingston 2-1. Cofield wins a doubleheader over Sunbright, it looks like.
Campbell County beats McCary County.
No,
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 9-3. Yeah.
Wartburg gets Oliver Springs. Rockwood gets Loudon.
That's a big win for Rockwood.
Is that a big win?
Well,
Loudon Redskins.
Loudon's AAA, and
that's right, they are. Aren't they?
Rockwood's number 5 in the state.
Baseball.
In baseball, yeah.
Okay, didn't know that. Softball, Oliver Springs gets Wartburg 12-zip. Cofield wins 15-6 over Sunbright.
And the thing about this baseball season that's awfully nice too is you don't see any teams with initials. They're all gone.
The privates.
They're all gone. And there's and there are a lot of good high school baseball players in those private schools. I mean, if they were still mixed in, you would continue to see the same thing that we've seen for years. Most of those teams would be heading to Murfreesboro.
It says here that the Smokies are having a nut-free night. People like you can't get in. It's peanut-free night. I better clarify that. And we already talked about UT baseball, and they'll be going this weekend to play. No, they're not going. They're at home at Lindsey Nelson this weekend to play the Kentucky Wildcats, number 13 ranked Kentucky Wildcats. Play the Tennessee Volunteers this weekend.
So they'll be underdogs again.
Probably so.
But district tournaments, I
When
think
they
softball starts Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah, tomorrow for softball.
I know some middle
Probably
school
Friday as
kids
well.
are playing district and regional golf stuff right now.
All that stuff is going on.
It's going on right now. It's
Tennis.
started. Tennis is starting. So all that stuff's going on.
So all of those.
Well, we're winding down. We're probably less than 20-some days of school left.
Yeah.
Probably because school graduation for some seniors it might be less than that probably.
Graduation for some schools starts next week.
So a lot of kids will be finishing up here. I guess it's fun to be playing. I've only done it once in my high school career. Be playing right towards the end
And
of school.
some teams finishing up spring practice now that wait a little later to get their spring practice.
When did you
in.
tell me Oak Ridge was going to do spring
I
practice?
think Oak Ridge started it maybe last week. So.
Because Triple D called last week, and he's wanting to do a big thing for Coach Gaddis sometime. He's trying to sell tickets to. He's wanting to have a big appreciation dinner for him.
Well, and that would be nice.
Would you buy a ticket?
And Coach Webb won't be going out until this week, next week. So.
Will Coach Webb have a green and white game or a green and yellow game, or he won't have a spring game? He won't do a
They
spring
don't do
game.
much of that anymore.
Well, I didn't know if they did or not. I mean, I know
Do
some
they do it up
schools.
this way?
Yeah, I think some of them still do it. I think Clinton maybe done it last year. I don't know if they'll do it. I don't even know if Clinton's had spring practice or not.
I talked to.
I don't know about AC neither. Just be honest.
Talked
with
to
you.
Coach Terry last week. I had to call him about about a matter, and he was at Murfreesboro for the athletic directors conference. But
well, me and
I
ET,
said, Coach, how you doing? He said, I'm ready to roll. He said, wish we could start Friday night.
we went over some schedules last week, me and ET did. We talked about Clinton's schedule, we talked about Anderson County, and we talked about Oak Ridge, its schedule. And we was talking about Anderson County, and I knew Richie Noe would be, watching, so I was getting his feathers up. I asked ET, do you think Anderson County will win at least 4 football games this year? I asked him, and ET said, well, I think so. It wasn't just 30 seconds later, my phone's going off, a text. And
So you
Richie
get a kick
Noe,
out of that, don't you?
Richie Noe sending me a thing, and then we was talking about Richie Noe's son being a good kid, and I told him I really liked him when he's in the studio. He's funny and I'll get out. So we was talking about it, but we looked at Clinton's schedule last Wednesday night, and I'm gonna be honest. Clinton has got a rough road to go this year again.
It'll be rougher than last year.
Well, yeah, because Clinton only has 4 home games this year. They're on the road for 6 of them because they was there last year for 6. And they've got to go to Scott County and some of these places and play this year.
No problem.
Well, but that's the only 2 games they won last year.
That's no problem.
I didn't see another win right now. Now, I'm sure when they get to playing, things will be a little bit different under the second year, but, there's some wins on the schedule if they can get them, but there were some wins on the schedule last year.
I thought in looking in the paper the other day, they named some top-rated quarterbacks in the area. Of course, Greenville had one. Anderson County had one as well, and I thought it was interesting. The kid from Greenville threw for like 3,600 yards and maybe 25 touchdowns. Martin from Anderson County threw for like 4,600 yards and 43 touchdowns, but the kid from Greenville got the football finalist. That's going to be a heck of another matchup. Can you imagine this time in Anderson County, Game 3 of the playoffs?
Yeah, and I don't really know what Anderson County lost, if they lost anything. I'm sure they lost some seniors that maybe played or started either one. I'm not sure. I understand Greenville lost a few, but I understand both their teams are pretty much back intact.
Anderson County will be pretty strong.
Oh, I don't. If I was just guessing right now, and I don't have the schedule back in front of me, I would guessing right now, I'd say AC's 9-1 or 10-0.
So you really weren't serious when you talked about them winning 4 games.
They better win more than 4 games.
Well, I mean, why would you even suggest that?
I just asked DT what he thought.
But you're the one that you said.
I did.
You said
I
4
did.
games.
I did.
So why would you do that?
I just done it because I could. Because I was driving the car. ET was just pastor. He was tagging along. So you think?
Why would you do that?
You think Harris County's only going to win 4 games?
Oh no. I think Anderson County and Greenville will probably set. They're set again for probably Game 3.
Game 3. Because we was talking about the Chattanooga teams and just different things last week. So that's it.
So you think the Chattanooga teams are going to be better?
Probably not.
So what were you talking
It
about?
wasn't very good last year. We're just talking about the Chattanooga teams. Having to play a lot of games in Chattanooga. That's all we're talking about.
Oh, they thrive it. They thrive on that.
Oh, they did. They thrived on it last year and done very well.
Getting on that bus and
heading down there. There's a lot of pressure on Coach Terry this year. He needs to deliver. He needs to bring that. Hey, he needs to bring the Go football back.
So you think there's a lot of pressure on him?
Yeah.
He didn't seem like he was under a lot of pressure now.
Well, football's not started yet.
But if you're under pressure, now's when you really feel it.
Well, I think,
because now's when you're really trying to get everything together.
I think their expectations are to bring the Go football home this year.
I think that's probably what they were every year.
Well, I don't know about every year, but this year the team's there for them to do that. This is what they've, for the last 3 years, I think this is where they've been building. Now, I don't know whether you could say, well, Greenville was a roadblock last year. I don't have any idea.
The Martin kid got hurt.
They
had a lead. They had a lead.
He did.
He goes down.
I give you that. So I don't know if you could say, and you have to take all that in consideration. I understand that. You lose your quarterback. It's been your quarterback all year long that throws for 4,600 yards and all those, whatever, how many touchdowns you said. You do that, and you lose that guy, I think you basically lose your whole offense.
Well, yeah, because I think what happens when somebody like that goes out of a game offensively, you think, you know, what we're done. You know, we can't continue.
Probably.
But I think
to give the kid credit, he tried to play.
he did.
He tried to continue on to play.
But I think you know, you talk about a hot ticket now.
Yeah.
That
Well, I
would
think
be a
this
hot
is the
ticket.
year. And then jokingly, what I said last week was to lead up to what I'm saying now. I really think this is the year for AC to make that big push for Cookeville.
Can they get in the playoffs with 4 wins?
No.
So, how do they do that?
Well, they won't. Look, here we go. They won't get in with 4 wins.
So you're on the hot seat again?
No, that's just my wife.
Yeah. I don't blame her. She's probably making sure that you know,
No, she's not.
try to behave.
She's checking. She just let me know something.
Okay. We'll be right back. We're going.
Hey.
If that's his wife, he needs to make a phone call. We'll be right back.
No, I'm good.
All right, crew, let's get started. Kurt?
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Mulch and More in Midtown is your landscaping headquarters. Mulch and More offers mulch, the best topsoil in the area. All types of gravel, sand, pea gravel, either loose or in bags, creek rock, river rock, field stone, mountain mist stone, railroad cross ties, straw bales, fence posts, farm gates, and much more. Mulch and More offers backhoe and dump truck service. And Mulch and More can also demolish a house or building on your property, and they'll haul it off for you. Give Gary a call today at 865-740-5229 for Mulch and More in Midtown.
Roan Metals Group has been serving East Tennessee for decades. Locally owned and operated with convenient hours of operation. Roan Metals buys all types of scrap metal. Nothing's too big or too small. Still have that clunker sitting around? We've been buying them for years. Roan Metals Group are specialists in industrial scrap. We have what it takes to get any size job done. Roan Metals urges you to recycle responsibly. Scrap with only licensed dealers. A member of the TSRA and the ISRI. Roan Metals Group. Turn that scrap into cash.
In today's world, you don't stay in business long without providing exceptional customer service. The Duff family has been providing exceptional customer service for over 44 years. Our customers rate us highly, as shown by the fact we're the only dealer in Tennessee to have earned the Subaru Love Promise Award for 7 years in a row. Check our online reviews or ask your friends. They'll tell you to come to Earl Duff Subaru, where buying is a pleasure.
Choose financing as low as 0% for 63 months on all new 2018 Outback models at Earl Duff Subaru in Harriman.
Live and Let Live Drugstore in downtown Rockwood is the premier pharmacy service location. Let our professional staff help with all your pharmacy needs, answer your questions, or help with your medication management with our Medicine on Time packaging system. We also offer medication therapy management to ensure you're receiving maximum benefits from your medication. Diabetes care is available with one-on-one consultations, or you can attend one of our monthly diabetes information classes. Live and Let Live Drugstore in downtown Rockwood.
Reno Sporting Goods, your first choice for sports equipment. On the court, on the field, or in the stands, Reno's has the brand names you want. All the latest from Adidas, Under Armour, and more. From custom embroidery to screen printing, it's all about the game. For over 30 years, Reno Sporting Goods.
Well, welcome back to the locker room, and again, beautiful weather out now, and time for the last part of high school football or baseball and softball, golf, tennis, track if you've got track teams, to enjoy some sunshine. It's just a shame that the majority of the season you play in bad weather, and you get a few
or holding an umbrella,
a few lasting weeks of but all in all, it's been a good spring for all these folks. We don't have a lot of baseball and softball teams in the area that are
well, I think
are ranked, but
I think in general for us here at Channel 12, and most people knows we're high school oriented at first, and we do the college thing. We don't do very much pro in anything. But I think overall this year it's been a really sports year from football season to now.
It has.
It's been a pretty good year.
It has.
People in East Tennessee ought to be proud of their football teams because I think we rule the roost in football around here. I mean, in the East Tennessee area, just look at the championships that's been brought back, and I'm probably going to agree with you, and I've agreed with you for a long time. I think that, I know that's
Three times.
three times one night, ain't the private issue. I think that's probably the best thing that's happened to public schools is to divide.
And especially in spring sports.
Especially in spring
that's
sports.
That's where the
It never
real
made no
separation.
sense in the other to do it in football and then not do it in the other sports. I think it'll give a team like a Rockwood maybe an opportunity now that they maybe would never get. I think it gives them a shot.
Well, you had the Grace Christians and the other
CAK.
out the other way. You had CAK and Friendship Academy and all of those. So it was the same thing in basketball. A lot of in the lower division. So it's equal to playing field. It gives them a chance to to compete with schools just like them and they have some really good players.
What about the move? We're talking high school. I know we're going to jump out of Anderson or Roan and talk, or Morgan and talk. I want to just dip in Knox a minute. What about the move at Powell High School to run Rodney Ellison basically off, force him out after he had turned the program around and got it pretty much back on stable ground, and then for them to bring Matt Lowe back.
Matt Lowe.
From
Did they run Ellison?
well,
off?
that's basically what's being said.
Is that right?
I mean, somebody could call in and contradict that if they want to, and that'd be fine. But
he had sort of turned the program around.
that's what I'm saying. He turned the program around. They had done some things last year that they hadn't done, and since Lowe had left, I think Lowe, when he left, didn't. Even though they had a run for a state championship, I think he left it in. I don't know that he left on really good standings when he left, but they've brought him back in really good standings. So he's came back.
So you think they created the opening for him
That's
to come
what
back?
it sounds like. It really does. Now, like I said, somebody could call in and contradict it, and that'd be fine because I'm just getting what different people are saying and listening to people talk about it. It's what it seems like. So, but Rodney goes from there and goes to Catholic and jumps on board, and then either the defensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator, one from Catholic, goes to King's Academy, where he was at, and takes over as head coach. So he left a program that he had started at King's Academy, and was making.
It was doing better.
It was making some headway.
Wasn't doing quite as well as the girls softball
Yeah, but
team.
wasn't he 8-2 last year over there or something like that, or 9 and something?
He had picked up a lot more wins.
He turned it around.
He'd been averaging probably 4, 5, 6 wins a year.
He turned it around a little bit. He got him back. Didn't he start the football team?
Yes.
So,
Well, it might have been a year or two old, but he took it from infancy.
I only say this for one reason. I only say it because Rodney Ellison was down at Wartburg, and I thought he'd done a really good job. And just look, since Rodney left Wartburg, they've really not done anything. They've not done anything. I know he came to Clinton, was the offensive coordinator for a little while, and then he goes to Powell. I don't know. I mean, I don't understand all the moving parts, and I understand booster clubs and stuff like that get involved sometimes, and when they speak, things happen.
Yeah, sometimes these coaches get caught, just like in college. They get caught in a situation where they really have no control. But King's Academy softball is weekly.
Well, weekly.
The Oklahoma Weekly is up there, and
he's the athletic director there.
And he's had. He's probably had in the 5 or 6 years that he's been there, he's probably had 25 kids go on to college, and he'll win a state championship for probably the next 3 or 4 years. He had a freshman pitcher last year, and I think this year she had a .95 earned run average the other day. So they've built a little dynasty up there, and when you do it for one sport, that word gets out.
I just thought you leave and you just leave. It would happen fairly quickly when he left. And
now Lowe played there too.
Well, he
at
did.
Powell,
He
right?
did go to Powell and he played. And anytime you hear, well, I need to get out, I'm getting out of it for my family.
For his family.
You usually know that.
Then he got right back in for
Then
his
he got
family.
right back in for his family. You know, he did 1 year with TV with Packer and them. Then he got right back in it. So you usually figure, red flag goes up. That's all it was to me, just a red flag. I just thought, here you have a guy that sort of turns your program around. I think Rodney went 5-5 last year, maybe. Went to the playoffs for the first time in a while. And then he gets axed. I'm thinking, wow, that's just, you know, that's unreal.
You know, and Halls, you know,
Their coach leaves.
Their coach leaves, and I mean, and he just had gotten it turned around. First time in several years that Halls had made significant improvement. Carter got theirs turned around, you know, and
now their coach is in trouble.
And now he's you know, he's gone to the coach that got it turned around, you know, got some health problems and ended up having to quit, and so it's, you know, and again, you look around our area and you look at the longevity of you know, you look at Coach Webb, you look at Coach Tapp, you know, look at Coach Henry, and you look at all of these guys that have been there, you know, for a long time. How about Coach Kerr? Is he going to have another good team this year?
Who knows? They were tickled with him last year. He won a couple games. I mean, break one of the longest winning streaks.
I would guess.
I would think this year. I mean, I would think the people in Union County are expecting 5-5 or maybe even to the playoffs.
They've probably sowed new grass.
They probably have. They probably have. You know, I was glad. I was tickled Coach Kerr went out there and you know.
Well, the kids deserve that.
That's what I was going to say. Every kid deserves to be coached up right and has a chance to win. And if that's, you know, if Coach Kerr's been able to do that and he can get that program turned around and help them out, I applaud him for it.
Oh yeah, I mean it takes.
There's no doubt he's a football. There's no doubt he's a football coach. There's no doubt about that.
It takes a special person to.
It does.
To stay in there.
And another thing I think the way football has changed with parents and stuff and kids, I don't know that I would want to be in it anymore. It's just me. Those people that you just mentioned.
There are a lot of movement.
Those people you just mentioned, the Webbs and the Henrys and Tapps and the Gaddises and whoever. Those people that's a dying breed. Some of those coaches are old school football coaches. You know, Davy Gillum is more of a modern, maybe modern's not the right word. He's more of an open, offensively minded coach. And but you take some of those good coaches away, and I mean, it doesn't affect just the high school and the kids there. It affects the community.
Sure. It's
I have a lot of respect for those guys because, you know, you could say, well, they get extra money for whatever, but when you really sit down and look
at 50 cents an hour.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When you actually look down and look at what Coach Webb puts in Monday through Friday and all the stuff he does, and then coming around the summertime when everybody's gone on vacation or gone somewhere, and I'm sure he tries to take some time off with his family and he has to work it in, but he's got to worry about getting people in the weight room, mow the fields, stuff like that. But you know, there's a lot of responsibility. There's a whole lot of responsibility to being a head football coach. It's more really than just being a head football coach, because to some of those kids, you're not only the head football coach, you're probably their father figure too. You're the male figure in their lives, and you're helping those kids out. And like I said, you see people like that, and you see dying breeds, and you just think, you know, you look and you just think, wow, these are some coaches that's been here for a while, and you know, when they're gone, people's going to say, well, what happened?
Well, what's the story on NASCAR? You know, NASCAR just doesn't have any spunk at all right now. I mean, there's a few articles in the paper every now and then, but NASCAR's got to have some. They're going to have an infusion of interest.
I don't really know how to answer that question other than to say I don't know. There's something. It's like going to a race and watch everybody line up, 40-some cars line up, nose to tail, and you just go around the track. Now, I understand some of that stuff at the big super speedways that you have to watch what you put under the hood, because I've seen the cars fly in the stands. I've seen them get up in the catch fence and do a lot of damage to people in Daytona and in Talladega. I've seen that personally. I've been there when that's happened. Me and my brother was in the middle of one of them truck wrecks in Daytona the first or second time they ran down there. And I seen all kinds of people hurt all the way around. So they will get in those catch fences, and they are dangerous. I understand that, but NASCAR's just got boring. They're just.
Who's the face of NASCAR now?
Well, that's a really good question. I would say maybe Jimmy Johnson or Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick.
Jimmy Johnson's not winning.
He's not winning. He's not won in a while. Those are some. I would say Brad Keselowski, maybe Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's following in his dad's footsteps. Did well in the Xfinity Series, but not done nothing in the big series. So I really don't know who the face. I really don't know who the face is. I think NASCAR's in super trouble, and there's some other things that goes along with that. It's like going to a NASCAR event. Going to a NASCAR event costs huge bucks. I mean, motel rooms want you to stay 6 nights. Gas prices go up 30, 40 cents, and they're already high as it is. Go eat at a restaurant in Daytona and say, wow, I didn't know the menu had changed at whatever you're in. They say, oh, it's not. This is our race week menu. Just things like that. And, you can nickel and dime people to death, and eventually you have to make a decision. Do you want to go, at least going to Daytona to have to stay 5 nights or 6 nights, at least it's not a bad place to go. In February, because it's usually, out of those 6 days, you're probably going to get 3 or 4 of them. It's going to be fairly nice compared to what it is here in February. But going to Bristol and have to stay a 5-night minimum in Bristol, that's foolish.
Getting yours free too helps a whole lot.
Where's that at?
That helps a bunch.
We ain't got long here.
You're on the air.
Guys, how's it going tonight?
Well, how about you?
Not bad. Hey, I liked your comments a minute ago, guys. You're talking about the coaches in the area. Most people have no idea, or really what's worse is they don't care about what the coaches and the assistants have to do. You get the small schools, they're out there cutting the grass, they're lining the fields, they're setting everything up. And, just because that they see Public Works or the school maintenance mowing the fields at a place like Oak Ridge or some of these other places, they don't at all the schools. And those guys sure don't get paid what they should pay for coaching, much less all the secondaries that they're involved in. And then when you add up that they're out in the community going to every little Boosters Club meeting or every little thing they're invited to, whether they're giving a talk, it's changed over the years, and it's not gotten better. And your guys are right about that.
Well, thank you.
It's gotten worse on the coaches about the demands on them, the pay going down, and it is going down for what they do. The responsibilities and the attitude is going up. So, anyway, I just want to say hi to you fellas, and I agree 100% on this with the coaches.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you calling.
See you guys.
All right, see you, bud.
So once again, all over it. Perfect.
Do what?
Getting do pretty good with that.
Yeah, you're doing all right.
Good. Well, guys, have a great week. Get out and support the high schools as they head toward Murfreesboro for a spring fling. Always a fun time. See you next week here in the locker room.
Live and Let Live Drugstore in downtown Rockwood is your gift destination. Shop the new plush selection for that special someone. We have Bath & Body Works popular fragrances and custom gift baskets too. Live and Let Live has a wide selection of gift and home decor for any occasion, from yard flags to selected jewelry plus much more. We have Big Orange giftware always available year-round. And don't forget to enjoy a soda fountain treat while you shop. Live and Let Live Drugstore, gift shop, and soda fountain in downtown Rockwood.